The fall of Assad, a new chapter for Syria. For over a decade, Syria has been a symbol of devastation and resilience. Once known for its rich history, diverse culture, and breathtaking landscapes, the country has endured years of civil war, external interventions, and the oppressive leadership of Bashar al-Assad. The recent fall of Assad's regime marks the end of an era but also opens a new, uncertain chapter in Syria's history. This article delves into the rise and fall of Assad's leadership, the role of foreign powers, the plight of the Syrian people, and what lies ahead for the nation. Bashar al-Assad assumed power in 2000, succeeding his father, Hafez al-Assad, who had ruled Syria since 1970. Bashar, a Western-educated ophthalmologist, initially projected an image of a modern reformer. Many Syrians hoped he would steer the country toward political and economic progress. However, these hopes quickly faded as Assad solidified his grip on power, continuing his father's legacy of authoritarian rule. Early promises of reform. Assad's early years in power included economic liberalization policies, such as encouraging private investment and reducing state control. These measures brought modest economic growth but also deepened inequality, as the benefits were concentrated among the elite close to the regime. Politically, the regime remained rigid, with no tolerance for dissent. The Arab Spring and the spark of conflict. The turning point came in 2011 during the Arab Spring, a wave of pro-democracy uprisings across the Arab world. Peaceful protests in Syria calling for greater freedoms and government reforms were met with violent crackdowns by Assad's forces. The brutal suppression led to widespread outrage, sparking a full-blown civil war. Human rights violations. Assad's government faced accusations of gross human rights violations throughout the conflict. Reports from international organizations documented the use of chemical weapons, mass executions, torture, and sieges of civilian areas. These actions not only deepened the suffering of Syrians but also drew condemnation from the international community. A nation divided, the role of foreign powers. The Syrian civil war quickly escalated from a domestic conflict to a proxy war involving numerous regional and global powers, each pursuing its own interests. This external involvement further complicated the situation and prolonged the war. United States and the opposition. Early in the conflict, the United States supported opposition groups deemed moderate in their fight against Assad. The CIA's covert program, Timber Sycamore, aimed to train and arm these groups. However, the fractured nature of the opposition and the rise of extremist factions like ISIS undermined these efforts. Later, the U.S. shifted its focus to combating ISIS, leading a coalition that launched airstrikes and supported Kurdish-led forces in northern Syria. While these efforts weakened ISIS, they also created tensions with Turkey, a U.S. ally that opposed Kurdish empowerment. Russia and Iran's support for Assad. Assad's survival during the war was largely due to the backing of Russia and Iran. Starting in 2015, Russia provided air support, military advisors, and advanced weaponry, helping Assad regain territory from opposition forces. Iran's Revolutionary Guard and allied militias, such as Hezbollah, played a crucial role in propping up Assad's regime. This alliance ensured Assad's hold on power but at the cost of increasing Syria's dependence on foreign actors. Regional powers. Turkey supported opposition groups and sought to counter Kurdish influence along its border. Gulf states like Saudi Arabia and Qatar backed Sunni rebel factions as part of their rivalry with Iran. The involvement of these powers turned Syria into a geopolitical chessboard, with the Syrian people caught in the crossfire. The fall of Assad's regime. In December 2024, after years of conflict, opposition forces finally overthrew Assad's government. The decisive moment came when Damascus fell to a coalition of rebel groups, led by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, and supported by factions within the Free Syrian Army, FSA. Assad fled to Moscow, where Russia granted him asylum, marking the end of over 5 decades of Assad family rule. Reactions to Assad's fall. The fall of Assad was met with mixed emotions. For many Syrians, it was a moment of liberation, a chance to rebuild their lives and their nation without the shadow of authoritarian rule. For others, particularly Assad supporters and minority groups who saw his regime as a safeguard against extremism, it was a moment of uncertainty and fear. Assad's departure left a power vacuum in Syria. Various groups with conflicting ideologies and goals are now vying for control, raising concerns about the country descending into further chaos. The return of refugees, a sign of hope. One of the most significant developments after Assad's fall has been the return of Syrian refugees. Over 6 million Syrians fled the country during the war, seeking safety in neighboring nations like Turkey, Lebanon, and Jordan. Many are now cautiously returning, driven by the hope of a brighter future in a post-Assad Syria. However, challenges remain. Reconstruction. Years of war have destroyed much of Syria's infrastructure, including homes, schools, and hospitals. Rebuilding these essential services will be a monumental task. Economic crisis. Syria's economy is in shambles, with high unemployment and widespread poverty. Healing divisions. The war has left deep scars, not only physically but also socially. Rebuilding trust among Syria's diverse communities, Sunni, Alawite, Christian, and Kurdish, is crucial for lasting peace. Lessons from U.S. and international involvement. The Syrian conflict serves as a cautionary tale about the complexities of foreign intervention. United States. The U.S. faced challenges in balancing its goals of defeating ISIS, opposing Assad, and maintaining regional stability. The support provided to opposition groups often backfired, with some weapons ending up in the hands of extremists. Russia and Iran. While their support ensured Assad's survival for years, it also entrenched their influence in Syria, undermining the country's sovereignty. Global responsibility. The international community largely failed to prevent the suffering of millions. Future conflicts demand a more coordinated and humanitarian approach. What lies ahead for Syria? The fall of Assad is only the beginning of Syria's journey toward rebuilding. The challenges ahead are immense, but so are the opportunities. Political transition. Establishing an inclusive government that represents all Syrians is essential. This will require negotiations among various factions and international mediation. Justice and accountability. War crimes committed during the conflict must be addressed to ensure justice and prevent future abuses. International support. Syria will need significant aid for reconstruction and economic recovery. However, this support must prioritize the needs of the Syrian people, not the agendas of foreign powers. Reconciliation. Healing the divisions created by years of war will be critical. This includes fostering dialogue among different ethnic and religious groups to build a shared vision for the future. Conclusion. A new chapter begins. The fall of Bashar al-Assad marks the end of a dark chapter in Syria's history, but it also brings new challenges and opportunities. While the road ahead is fraught with difficulties, there is hope that Syria can emerge stronger, more unified, and free from the oppression that defined the Assad era. This is a moment for Syrians to reclaim their country, rebuild their lives, and write a new story, one of resilience, peace, and progress. What happens next will depend not only on the leaders who step forward but also on the collective will of the Syrian people and the support of the global community. Let us know your thoughts. Can Syria overcome its divisions and create a brighter future, or will the challenges of rebuilding prove too great?